So what I'm getting is that a lot of people would have preferred if the final page was cropped like this. Do you people realize that calling female characters in underwear or nude fan service every time is unironically misogynistic?
If you summon Chibi reviews because of this, I swear to God. I have been summoned from the very depths of hell itself to talk about this chapter of Chainsaw Man. Chapter 198. Man, we're almost at the big 200 chapters of Chainsaw Man. And, gonna say, quite a chapter that came out today. Fujimoto straight up cooked, and there is a lot to talk about. I mean, you already got a brief glimpse. I mean, just the community's reaction for this latest chapter is more or less in turmoil. They're in just complete meltdown, trying to damage control. It's just, oh man, it's a good day. It's a good day, especially seeing individuals that have constantly tried to be very, like, act like Chainsaw Man's a pure series, or act like there is no fan service or gooner bait or anything like that. It's refreshing just seeing these individuals that have deluded themselves for such a long time basically getting slapped in the face by Fujimoto himself with this latest chapter of Chainsaw Man. It's wonderful, man. I have loved every bit of today. I have loved every bit of seeing this. Just seeing the overall denial, the delusion, and people trying to justify this or twist this and spin this, that this is not fan service, spin this, that Fujimoto isn't freaky. I mean, look, I love the man. He's a great artist. He's a great author. He's a great writer. But this is the same man that did Fire Punch. He's a freaky man. Nothing wrong with that. If he wasn't a freak, we probably wouldn't have as good of a series as Chainsaw Man, Fire Punch, and all the other stuff he's wrote. What I'm saying is that I love how so many people have been in such denial about Chainsaw Man for a very long time, that this chapter really, there's no other way you can really just, like, say, but it's fan service. It is. That's all it is. We can throw in body horror, but there was no business, besides fan service, for there to be a straight up pantsuit shot. There wasn't. There was no reason for it, and man, it's great. I also love how a lot of people that are reacting to this chapter, by the way, they are calling the Death Devil herself, and huge plot twist, by the way, but they're calling the Death Devil herself a kid. Do I need to answer that? Like, do I need to answer that? Because it's like, it's a being that's existed since basically the beginning of life. Like, excuse me? Anyways, okay, so let's get right into this. There's a lot to tackle. But obviously, I've wasted enough time talking about people that clearly do not know how to read, or they've just been in such denial for so long that they finally are starting to wake up. Let's actually get into what this chapter is about. The massive plot twist that happened within these pages. I absolutely love this twist here with finding out that this is the Famine Devil. This is not the Death Devil. This is the Famine Devil. And it, honestly, it got everybody. I think everybody that legitimately was reading this chapter, probably besides a spare handful of people, everybody was shocked about this twist today. I mean, hell, it is technically still trending on Twitter. There is still a discussion of Fami's true identity. You could see it on the right there. Just ignore everything else. Ignore the Elden Ring, the One Piece, and even the death penalty stuff. That's not related to this video. But basically, if you take a hard look at, like, Fami's true identity, it's been trending all day. Everybody's been discussing this. And this caught everybody by surprise. And now people are kind of going back and they're looking at some of the foreshadowing and stuff. And it's starting to make a lot more sense that Fujimoto knew what he was going to be doing with the Death Devil or Fami, and I appreciate this stuff, man. It's nice. Like, this is the type of stuff that makes rereading a manga just so worth it, because when you go back and you understand the plot twist, you can see the subtle little foreshadowing and hints and details put into the character expression to make you appreciate it more. It's why I loved, like, Tokyo Ghoul, for instance. Tokyo Ghoul, man, it's almost been 10 years now that I think about it. It's almost been 10 years. But, like, Tokyo Ghoul, the reason why I love that series so much is because it's a series that you can read it over and over again, and you will catch details that you just didn't notice the first time. I remember rereading like a third time, and I still caught new stuff. I was like, holy crap, this is insane. Ashita Sui was just really a master at his craft. And what I'm saying here is I love this little stuff here with, like, how he set up Fami to actually be the Death Devil, and then this whole revelation here, it's amazing. I love it. It makes a bunch of sense. It actually makes sense, thematically with what we have seen from Fami so far, or technically the Death Devil, and just, everything. There's so much to really take away from this. But one thing I do want to point out, which is pretty, questionable, I need to wonder about Fami for a second. Let's get into that one. So, Fami, or Death Devil, I'm sorry, it's hard to not call her, Fami, but the Death Devil, she literally said in the last volume release, I don't know if you guys remember this, I know I posted this in my community post, actually, on YouTube, but I remember posting it to where she actually revealed just how much she has to go to the bathroom. It was a very odd and random, just extra page that Fujimoto added into the last volume release of Chainsaw Man, and we literally saw, just to go into details of it, she literally showed this person her phone that she takes pictures of her own fecal, okay? And the man's face was horrified. So you could assume she's a freak. We've already known she's a freak. I mean, she's a devil, but we've known she's a freak. But I'm questioning now with the reveal of this chapter, basically. The reveal that she more or less is, how can I put it? She has no organs. How was she going to the bathroom? That's my question. That's what I'm legitimately curious about. How was she going to the bathroom? Because my only assumption here is that she either did it relatively recently, okay? Or she somehow was eating, she was still eating while having no organs, and I don't even want to begin just to think about that. But the point is that Fujimoto making that extra page clearly was more or less to throw people off, but also make you question what's really going on here. Because, like, if she had no organs, why is she even eating? You get my point? Anyways, another thing is just to find out she's actually the Death Devil, it makes everything make a little bit more sense, but a little bit more confusing as well, because obviously she's been actively working with Denji, Chainsaw Man, that's meant to take down the Death Devil. We've seen her actively have a role in freeing Denji that could be theoretically her main antagonist or enemy. It's just, there's a lot of questions here, but the ending part of the chapter, more or less, lets us know that she, doesn't really want to harm humanity. She's tried to, rid herself, she's tried to get rid of, like, death itself. It's very clear the way she kind of, like, explains it. So it seems like she more or less is trying to save humans. She doesn't want to potentially be the end of all humans, but that more or less is what's going to happen. And so I'm curious on what the main objective is. There is just so many questions I have, but I wouldn't necessarily even say that her main objective is to get rid of Denji, because if it really was, she would have already put a stop to it. There was so many chances throughout part 2 for her to step in and do something. When Denji was at his weakest, when Asa and Yori were at their weakest, there was so many chances. Unless we're going along the limb that Death Devil actually wants to save humans and doesn't want them to die. We could assume that, which would be interesting. Finding an antagonist or an opponent that more or less needs to be defeated because death itself is scary, but you can't get rid of it. I wonder how it's going to be done, which gets into the next main theory of Denji / Puchita and Chainsaw Man. There's a lot of fan theories. This is not my own. I did not come up with this. I'm just going to be blunt. But there's a lot of discussion within the community that the Chainsaw Man Devil, aka Denji, might not actually be the Chainsaw Man Devil. Now, hear me out, okay? Just hear me out, okay? This is a hypothetical. Doesn't mean this is real and all that, but it's a hypothetical. And this is an ongoing theory that some do agree with. Denji has been shown to be capable of things that a chainsaw devil shouldn't theoretically be capable of. For instance, wiping out existence and, what he does when he eats other devils. It's very different. And there's been, theories and links that maybe Denji might not necessarily be the chainsaw devil, but maybe either the birth devil or the wound devil or something. That's the reason why things can either come back to life or be erased from existence. That has been an ongoing theory for a very long time, and I feel like this is leading to a lot more credibility, especially when you think about the concept of death itself and then what Denji or Chainsaw Man represents. Chainsaw Man represents, the end of certain concepts, but also the birth of other concepts, and in this case, death is the end of concepts as well. The inevitable. You cannot escape it. So I wonder, in this case, we're about to see life and death go up against each other. That would be really freaking cool if that's theoretically where the story is going. Once again, this is just a theory. This does not mean that it's true or not. I'm throwing it out there. And once again, I did not come up with this. This is just a word of mouth thing that has been in the community for a good long while. I have no idea who coined it or started it first. Just being blunt. But, with that being said, though, one thing that does need to be discussed is that she has been in control of Falling Devil, which is okay. So, this gives a lot more clarity to who ordered basically the hit out on, like, Asa, Yoru, and Denji and stuff, what we saw a while back. Makes a lot more sense. Unless not. Unless, actually, this, you know, the chef was ordered by someone else, and it really wasn't. I mean, there's always that possibility. But we can assume that Falling has actively always been working with the Death Devil. So, yeah, there's just some crazy stuff that this chapter did. There is a lot of revelations, a lot of stuff that really just, blows my mind. Like, I really love what Fujimoto has been cooking up here, and I think that, in general, we're about to probably have the next craziest 5 to 10 chapters since the end of Part 1. I think we're about to get, like, a reenactment, so to speak, of just the incredible nature that was, like, the end of Part 1, where Makima versus Chainsaw Man, what happened there. I think that's what we're about to get. I think we're about to probably get, maybe a different kind of fight, but I think it's about to be a crazy one at that, because the concept of death is a very scary concept. That is the end for everything. I mean, even Devils itself basically fears death. There's few that don't, but most of them pretty much do. And when you have Devils even afraid of that concept, then it makes sense how powerful she is. It is literally one of the most strongest, I would say, entities you could have, because death is final. So, yeah, overall, cannot wait to see what is cooked up next, you know, the next chapter. I can't believe how many people are just, oh my goodness, people are all focusing on the fan service and stuff. And don't get me wrong, by the way, like, I'm going to show you a panel from this chapter. Look at this. Fujimoto was feeling extra goonery when he was writing this chapter, okay? Despite the serious nature of it, there was no business for him to put a bakery, okay? There was no business, but he did, okay? That's not even including the whole pantsuit shot, okay? So, all I'm saying is that anyone that still truly deep down believes that Fujimoto isn't a freaky man that likes fan service, you're in Delulu. You're a Delulu. Like, that's really all it comes down to. This man, he might have good storytelling, but he throws in his, like, poorly disguised fetishes and stuff. That's how he's always been. Simple enough. But, anyways, I will leave it at that. I wanted to, talk about this chapter because I was summoned, and, it was good. It was a good chapter, actually. I mean, I was gonna talk about it even if I didn't get summoned, but gotta say, adding that little spice out at the beginning of the video, oh yeah, it needed to happen. I had to. It was just too easy. But anyways, you all be safe, stay healthy, subscribe, like the video if you enjoyed it. Chibi out.